Good morning, good night, good noon, everyone, and today we are bringing you the Charles Martel, the Tier 8 French tech line cruiser. Now, this is where I consider the tech line for the French to really pick up speed. I think this is where it reaches the zenith, where it starts to go to heaven. Now, without the merits flag, 5% to credits, 55 to ship XP, 65 to commander XP, and then without the expendable and the permanent bonus, you get 100 to free XP. So, still pretty decent. Now, armor-wise, this is where it gets hairy. She only has 25mm armor, and then Citadel armor along the side is 100mm. And then her armor belt is, well, for the torpedo protection, 100mm. So she gets like a double set of armor along here. And then 25 on the back, belt armor 27, and deck armor 27. Now let's pull this torpedo bulge away. So you're looking at about, for the Citadel protection, about 40mm plus the 100mm. But since the torpedo protection overlaps with it, you're looking at about 140mm of armor protection right here. But it doesn't really matter because they can go straight through your bow and into your Citadel. So you have to be aware of that. Every ship you face, even Tier 7 Colorados, Negados, well, they overmatch that 25mm bow. So be aware of that. Gun performance is really good, but for hit points, she gets 38,000 and a 16% torpedo protection. Again, decent amount of health, not the best torpedo protection. Again, try not to take torps. You're French, so you shouldn't be taking torps. Armor-wise, or gun caliber-wise, sorry. Gun-wise, she gets 9 203mm guns, and then for secondaries, she gets 5 100mm guns. Or technically 10 100mm guns. Now for the specifications of the guns, main battery have, well, 11-second reload, a max second switch time of 11 seconds. Well, max 22 seconds for the 180. Dispersion 143, not the best, but it's still competitive. Range is actually very decent at 17.6. Shell damage is 2800 for HE, 4900 for AP. HE's specifications are 15% of fire, 34mm armor pen, and a 876 velocity. Again, most of the ships you'll be facing have around a 32mm deck armor. If you get up to tier 9 and, well, 10, that changes, but you can still do damage. The velocity on the AP is 845. It's not the best, but it's still pretty decent for these gun arcs. Torpedoes, she gets 3 on each side, 6-second 180, a minute and a half reload, 9km range, 15,000 max damage, 60-knot torpedoes, and a 1.3 detection. You can try using these from like 9 to 8 kilometers, but I only recommend using them at 6 or below when you're at point blank range and you can't miss. Airstrike for submarines. She gets 2 flights, 1 plane in each, 7km range, 4,200 max damage, and 2 bombs. So basically the exact same as Baltimore. Nothing special. AA wise, it's decent, but it's not great. So 16 single mount war Lycans, 4, well, dual mount 37mm guns, and then 4 quad mount Bofors, and then the 10 5-inch guns. or 100mm guns, basically. But in terms of damage, yeah, it's pretty bad when you look at the damage all around. Long range is pretty pitiful at 5.8. The 3.5, you really start to see the bowfers and everything start to come to effect at being the 210, and then add 130 for the short range. Doesn't look great, but it can be very... It's not bad AA, by far. And then shell explosions at 1190. So it doesn't look great, okay? But it is actually decent. Maneuverability is 32.5 knots, 690 turning circle, 8-second rudder shift. Not bad. It's very typical of French. 10.7 concealment, not the best, but you can work with it. Again, you have a 17-kilometer range, so you can basically shoot and go dark. Shoot and go dark, basically. Maneuverability-wise, and for equipment, auxiliary armaments, one, because you want to keep your AA and everything alive. Now, this one is where you could change things up. You could do damage control, engine room, or speed boost mod. Ideally, I do speed boost mod if you have the coal sitting around. And then always aiming systems, always. Then steering gears, then concealment. Now for consumables, I did have high def AA for the replay, but ideally you want to take hydroacoustic search, absolutely. But if you take defensive AA, well, with the AA you have, it actually becomes a very formidable AA ship. And then you get 3 charges of fighter, 3 charges of engine boost, and then 4 charges of, well, her main battery reload. So, actually very decent. So, she's actually a very good ship. And then also 3 charges of hydro. Exterior wise, this is what the normal camo looks like. If you get the alternative scheme, that's what it looks like. But if you get the 2nd year anniversary collection, you get the congratulatory camo with the permanent boost package. So definitely run this one because it's free. Everyone can get this camo. It's perfectly natural. And then if you're lucky enough, you can pick up the bionic camo. But I honestly think the celebratory camo looks better. Now, for the build, grease the gears, priority target, adrenaline rush, and concealment expert. That's basically the gist of a 10-point captain. Now, for probably 17 points, or for a full, on rebuild, superintendent, top grade gunner, consumable enhancements, consumable specialist, and then, well, gun feeder. That is legitimately on rebuild right there for you folks. That is what you want to be running if you're going for the Henri. But let's get into the replay and we'll show you how the Henri, or Charles Martel, does it. We have Henri coming soon. Hello and welcome to the Charles Martel review part, folks. Now, as we went over in our specs part, she's a really good ship. Really good ship. But this is one ship when I grounded in the old Cherry Blossom that I was never disappointed with the ship. This is kind of where it goes from La Grisiel from being from La Grisiel that's great to meh Algerie, then great to Charles, and St. Louis, and then the Henri.
Escort the support ship and floating workshop to the carrier. Over. Attention engineer. Restore the carrier to operational
So Cap and I are both doing double Charleses. We're teamed up with the Massey, Nebraska, Cleveland, Indianapolis, and a Bliska Beach. So, pretty good ships all around. And the reload on the Charles is It may seem like a lot at 11 seconds, but it actually isn't. It's actually very decent.
Fighter airborne. All stations. Quick defeat of enemy forces is key to success. Send them all.
I'm just gonna go right for the cruiser because I didn't see a point to go for the BD.
The ship is on fire.
You know, for some reason it does light me on fire. Get a nice 11K there. And after that, we pretty much go south as far as damage goes. Well, I mean, that's a 20K, but then Cap fires and knocks it out. But then you see our rudder gets busted, and we don't have last stand. So no last stand means we're basically stuck. The good news is our rudder was locked in a straight position, meaning we still drive straight. Get a fire on him. That's that PDCP's it. I wish it was permanent. Bliscovita torps look good.
Fighter returning to ship.
He does miss them, but we still managed to kill all 3 ships in 1 minute. Even though we were still, our rudder was locked in basically a straight position, we were still angled just enough that we were going to make a complete loop, which was unfortunate. The good news is that you don't really need a last stand on this cruiser. That's one of the rare instances where you might need it, but for like the majority of it, you don't need it. I mean, if you wanted to make a pure meme build for a Charles that was dedicated for solely to ops, you could take last stand, absolutely. Now, since they haven't spotted, we already know they're south. It's at this time that I asked Cap, you think you can take the north by yourself? Because we were both going to go for the north
Engine
CV.
boost deactivated.
But I then decided, well, someone's got to go south. So I decided to head south and get broadsides on these cruisers, because I know the cruisers are coming, and I already have to go that way for the CV. So it's like 2 birds, 1 stone. Fortunately, my engine boost is almost off cooldown, so I can use that. I mean, I need that eventually. I have 3 reload charges, so I gotta use those sparingly. Once I have a 10.7 detection. So I turn too sharp and I beach myself. But once they come around that corner, I will be detected. Yep, here they come.
Enemy cruiser detected.
Raptor, Task Force Commander here. Working on an
They're not
optimal
perfectly
route for you.
broadside yet, so there's no
Proceed
point to
northwest.
pop the reload booster. I'm not worried about the shells because I'm going to
Engine
accelerate.
boost activated.
Pop my engine boost so I do get extra speed going into this. Because I want to get around on these sides as quickly as possible.
This is Raptor. Moving out.
Now they're basically at the point where they're broadside.
Ship is on fire.
And you just see that we're just pumping them out. Unfortunately, we don't get the Mogami kill. We are going to pick up the Furitaka. Or the
Problem solved,
Ayoba. We don't get the Mayoku, but we pick up the Ayoba. Now there's still the Mogami out there. We're going to miss the Torps. You don't need Def A Hydro. As long as you know Torps are loaded and waiting for you, you never need to take Hydro. It's welcome, but if you know they're coming, you can be prepared
This
for
is
them.
Engineer. All stations. I have equipment for light repairs of ships.
We pick up the Mogami, and that pumps us up to about 88,000. So, pretty good damage. And we didn't lose that much health.
Enemy aircraft carrier
Again, you see the
detected.
CV and the Aober are right there. I'm not worried about them.
Attention, squadron commander. According to reconnaissance data, one more enemy aircraft carrier is likely to remain in the combat zone.
FAA and our priority sector, we shoot down all these
Anti-aircraft gun
planes.
crews are on full alert.
So we get 9 planes left.
Fighter destroyed.
And I know, like, some people might say plane kills don't matter. Well, they do matter. They give you a little bit of XP, and if you add them up in enough in a sheer amount and give enough of them, yeah, they really start to make a
Anti-aircraft gun
difference.
crews are on normal alert. The ship is on fire.
I know the Shuriatsu has torque slowed.
Problem solved, sir. The ship is on fire.
And I get a fire. I can't see it. So my only choice is to drive as straight and as close to the Shira as possible so that the torque comes out. There's the torques. They don't arm because I'm too close. I don't get to be able to torque the CV, so that's unfortunate. But I went up about 50,000 right there from my previous
Engine
game.
boost deactivated.
We've destroyed an enemy cruiser.
So that was around almost 60,000 almost. I'm trying to spin my guns around, but I don't get it. But I went up 60,000 right there. I can't complain. And I got 28 plane kills. Cap's going for the northern CV. He's already taken out the DDs.
Concentrate fire on the designated target.
Fortunately, we don't see Cap. Well, actually, we can. We still have his. He still is in our range, so he's not much healthier than I am. And I did a lot of beating this match. But our team, now that they know where everything is, they're kind of all just pushing ahead of the convoy, which is great and really helpful.
Task Force Commander here. Transmitting rendezvous point. Do you copy? This is Raptor. Roger. Adjusting course.
I still have 1 engine boost and 1 reload, so I'm not worried about catching up, because I can just use the reload, or the speed boost to catch back up. So, I'm not worried about being so far behind. The Charles is extremely
Engine
fast.
boost activated.
Like, right there is my engine boost. So, I'm just going to catch up. I'm not worried.
Setting out to take cover behind the nearest island. Full ahead.
And since I'll be driving literally just in a straight line, I'm going to make the most of this engine boost.
Air wing is ready for duty. Over.
Cap is still trying to kill the northern CV. He does pick up the northern CV.
Enemy cruiser sighted.
This is Raptor. Propulsion plant out of action. We're dead in the water. Time for repairs required. Need cover from Allied squadron. Dropping a smoke screen would make sense.
Bliss picks up the Myoku. Massey's just going to go straight in. Massey's still pretty full health. He gets a nice chunk on that Amagi though, so good for him. Our Indy is close to the evac zone, but doesn't really go in. The Myoku's coming in. Fortunately, the Cleveland is in front of me, so he'll take most of the fire. Beautiful dispersion. 15,000, 3 citadels. He's not looking at me.
Torpedoes, dead ahead.
Cleveland does shoot AP, but it's angled, so it won't matter. And you get 5 Citadels natural selection right
Enemy
there.
cruiser destroyed.
And we went up to 77k, 177k. So, really great. Massey is going to go down. It looks like he took a Citadel. He couldn't angle to them all, so he took a Citadel, or a pretty good chunk damage. Congo gets him. Cleveland picks up the Congo. And at this range, AP on the sides will work, so don't be afraid to shoot AP. Again, like almost about 11,000 right there. Another 4,000. Now damage saturation kicks in. We do manage to snag that kill at 325 when we cross 200,000.
Deactivated.
Now we know the Southern cruisers will spawn in about 2 minutes. So we're just going to sit on this island right now. The Ivan Rat and Venomous, we're just going to sit and wait for them. Because they're going to drive straight in front of us. And we have one reload booster left.
Moving out.
Obviously, if I had about 6,000 more health, or even 4,000, I would have go and wait for him personally. But since I don't, I need to let them come to me. I'm saying outrun the CV because the Raptor is going to be moving out.
Roger.
And the Bliss says on my way. We had a really good team this match. Very good team. Cap is coming down to help me. They will spawn in literally 1 minute. So I'm literally just using this island. I'm just waiting here. At this point, it's just a waiting game. Seconds. And Cap is trying to remember where they are. That's the one thing I am good for when he's dipped up. He knows I know all the spawn points. 15 seconds. Or I guess less than 15 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and now. There's the Mogami and the Myoku. I just kind of push forward just enough. Not enough to come to like show myself, because I don't want to die, but I want to just get into that curve right on the straight stretch, because they'll come right out in front of me. They are shooting Cap, unfortunately. Again, I probably should have had AP loaded. Cap does go down.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
No Citadels on that one. But that's 24,000. Myoku's down with 9 Citadels. And we do pick up the Mogami. We should have had him sooner, but we went up about 50,000 damage right there. 35 sits, 31 plane kills, 8 kills, natural selection, 4 fires, 6 incapacitations, and a mere 48 secondary hits. And that was literally just GG. That is Charles in a nutshell. True. Okay, 254,000. C-star, assistant, natural selection. Oof. You were still second, though. Massey's third.
Yes.
Not surprising. I mean, he was having a fun time down with all those battleships.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Guess how many AP shells I fired?
How many?
234.
That's a few.